Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, and welcome to Body and Soul Awareness with Stephanie and Oxana. Here are your hosts. Hello there, Oxana.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you? How's
doing
everybody
good.
listening to us today? How is your Sunday? How's your week? How are you feeling? How's everything?
Wow, okay. Sunday is rainy in Southern California. Can you believe it? It's actually like really dreary. It's the worst day I've had since I've been here.
Wow.
But other than that, everything's good. Having a good day. Baby's taking a nap for like the first time ever during a show, which is amazing. So that's really good for the show.
He's cooperating with you.
Yeah, I think the rain is helping. Everybody's kind of feeling lazy. But, yeah, everything's going good. Feeling great. Had a good week, just really productive, trying to get things done. I have a detox course coming up starting the first weekend in November. So I'm just getting ready for that. And I'm excited to get that started because I had been bad for a while, so I'm kind of doing the detox with everyone else as we go along.
Mm-hmm. That's how it works, you know. That's how it works.
It's so beneficial for me, too. I love it.
Yeah, I actually started my juicing kind of detox today, so I'll hopefully will hold on to it for the next 5 days. Potentially, that's kind of my goal. I will do juicing in the morning and in the evening, and for the midday, I'm thinking just to do salad.
Nice.
Because it's kind of hard when I have a schedule like that I have now. So I'm hoping that just a salad between juicing will still be sufficient enough for me to do what I need to do for my body.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's definitely good because, remember, the juice kind of loosens everything up, and the greens and the fiber from the vegetables kind of help sweep everything out. So
Actually, let me correct
definitely a good
myself.
approach.
I'm juicing, but not only fruit. Yeah, I'm doing veggies, and I'm incorporating apples and maybe a few other items that are fruit, but a lot of it is actually greens, you know, like beets and carrots and ginger. Oh, it's so delicious. It's almost like as you drink that drink in the morning, you feel every part of your body is like waking up. It's like you're getting energized with like a shot of, you know, caffeine or something, but it's just pure good juice out of skin and everything of the fruit or veggie. It's amazing what it does.
It's all the nutrients pretty much, and what you're not getting is the fiber, and the fiber is what's tough on your system anyways. So you're getting all of the good phytonutrients from all the fruits and vegetables. And there's actually down the street from me is this place called Nectar Bar, and they juice stuff like right in front of you. So I always like going there for a treat, and they have like all of these boosters, like they have bee pollen and they have hemp seeds and all of the really, really good for you additives like the cocoa nibs or the cacao nibs that are really good antioxidants, and there's so many different choices, and it's so good. And the reason I found it is because Christian's been sick all week, right? So he hasn't been able to eat. And I know when my kid doesn't eat that something's wrong. He's not feeling well. Right? So the only thing he could eat was, right? Well, it's funny, though, because we went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, well, there's really nothing we can do. We can give him this medicine so he's not nauseous anymore. And because I just wanted to make sure it wasn't anything like an appendicitis or something like that, because something like that I can't really diagnose. So we went to the doctor and pretty much spent like $133 for him to prescribe us anti-nausea medication, which I didn't give to my kid. I just came home and I made him eat. I made him not eat, but I made him drink juices, and I made him drink water until he could get to the point where he could get something in him.
Mhm. How's he feeling now? Is he better?
He's not feeling like super well, but he's starving because he hasn't eaten in like 5 days, anything but juice. So he wants Chick-fil-A, and I told him he's crazy. I'm not getting him Chick-fil-A. He's gonna get more juice until he gets better, and then he can make whatever bad choices he wants with his budget.
Well, it's actually how it works. Yeah, you have to stick with a strict, healthy kind of diet, especially when you are sick, so your body can.
Right. Oh no. But the doctor actually said, he said, when you're sick, it really doesn't matter what you eat as long as you eat. And he was like, just in case you didn't know, because, of course, when I go in there, I'm like, I don't go to doctors. I don't want your medicine. Just tell me what's up. But he was like, just so you know, when you lose water, you also lose electrolytes. And I was like, yes, doctor, I know that. I do for the lesson. But I told him you can also get electrolytes from coconut water. So Gatorade is not the best option. But anyways,
my God.
I could talk about that for like 20 minutes. But we had homework last week.
Yeah.
I found it very interesting. Did it go well for you?
Kind of. Besides the homework, just kind of between you and I and everyone else on the radio, I was doing some sort of internal deep work. So I've gone a little bit farther deep into my work. But what I got out of specifically the homework we assigned to ourselves this week is I turned TV on one of the nights last week, just kind of get an idea of what's going on in the politics right now. So I watched the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes of archived debate between the two candidates. And after a brief, short couple of 10 minutes, I kind of shook my head and turned it off. Decided that's not very beneficial for my being. And I went to bed, and oh my God, it doesn't matter what I asked before I went to bed. I was on a bloody field where everybody were spearing each other with wooden sticks, killing each other. It was quite nightmarishy. But luckily, I didn't die in that dream. I was pulled away by somebody. And while I was in the dream, I actually knew I was in the dream. And I actually knew that I'm going through it. And I was actually tracing back, as I was asleep, what I did before, and I went back to that debate. So I woke up with, thinking, wow, that was quite something. So it really made me think how much it affects us, what goes into our mind, whether it's being created for the sake of release, some sort, internal stuff, or sometimes it's because it resonates with some of your past activities or present activities, and that's how you respond to it. That's kind of my symbolism of that battle was what's happening right now in the politics. I perceive that as it's not a kind of a run to show who is the best at running, serving people and being this model, to move forward the country. I see this as bloody battle, and it's literally a battle between egos. Who is better and who is not. It's not about people. It's not about how can I serve you, our tribe, It's about how I can win, It's all about that, at least in my symbolic translation. So that's my homework.
All right. That was a good take on what's going on. I follow it about as little as you do, so I'm not going to put too much more energy into that one. So for my homework, I did do some dreaming, got some answers to a few questions. I'm not going to talk about what it was. Mine were a little personal. I will say that one part of the dream was clearing old emotional things, old emotional ties that needed to kind of be cleared. And the next part of the dream was something new. So it was kind of interesting, but I'm not going to go too deep into that because we have an awesome show for you guys. Hopefully you guys did your homework and you got a little bit more in tune to yourself. But tonight we are going to be talking about obstacles and overcoming obstacles in life. And I really like this subject because obstacles are something that everybody has, right? Everybody deals with obstacles at some point in time in their life. Otherwise, I don't know who you are or how you possibly could get away with not having obstacles, but if you're that person, you might be the luckiest person in the world. But anyways, so I found this awesome poem, and I wanted to read it because I think it totally, embodies everything we're going to be talking about tonight, so I thought it was cool. And unfortunately, I don't know who wrote it. It says anonymous, so I'm just going to say if you did write it, all credit goes to you because it's an awesome poem. Okay. Anyway, so it's called Remember Your Greatness. Before you were born and were still too tiny for the human eye to see, you won the race for life among 250 million competitors. And yet, how fast you've forgotten your strength. When your very existence is proof of your greatness, you were born a winner, a warrior, one who defied the odds by surviving the most gruesome battle of them all. And now that you are a giant, why do you even doubt victory against smaller numbers and wider margins? The only walls that exist are those that you have placed in your mind, and whatever obstacles you conceive exist only because you have forgotten what you have already achieved.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I loved it. But we also have a very, very special guest tonight. She knows all about obstacles and overcoming them. Her name is Dawn Bontempo, and Dawn is the author of Breast Cancer Mardi Gras, Surviving the Emotional Hurricane, and Showing My Boobs to Strangers. She is an energetic advocate for cancer survivors and an active volunteer with numerous nonprofit organizations. Dawn is passionate about educating folks through humor, addresses tough topics during the diagnosis, surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation portions of her treatment, but uses a style that makes you enjoy the absurdity of her life. Dawn currently resides in Arlington, Virginia. So I met Dawn at a craft fair. I used to do lots of craft fairs when I made all of my body care products.
Lovely.
And I was at a craft fair. It was specifically for breast cancer awareness, to raise money for that. I think it was at, where was it? It was Meadowview Nursery, or Meadows Farms Nursery in Manassas. And what I loved about Dawn was that she was just so happy and glowing, and you could tell that even though she had had this struggle, that she totally overcame whatever obstacles it was that she was going through to be like this bright, happy, cheerful person. And I loved how in her book it really goes deep into some serious things that are tough to talk about, but she does it so well. So
beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get Dawn right on here. Hi, Dawn. Are you there?
I am here, and thank you so much. That was so sweet. I mean, I almost had tears in my eyes just listening to you. I had to compose myself before you checked me in.
Oh, sorry about that, but you're really an inspiration, and I'm sure for so many people.
Oh, that's great. No, I love that. That was such a sweet thing to say. You're right. I really do have such a positive outlook on life, and I mean, I was a positive person before I had cancer, but it definitely gives you a perspective on life that you enjoy when you're just able to sit out on a sunny day and enjoy the sunshine and just be around folks that are loving and caring. And so I just appreciate that so much, just meeting you that day. And if that was your takeaway, then all is good and life is fantastic.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I guess let's go right into it, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you overcame.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, and I'll just start by telling y'all that I'm very open about this. So feel free to ask me any questions. I talk about it pretty regularly, so I'm pretty open to answer any questions. So I was 41 years old when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in October of 2012. I will tell you there's no breast cancer history in my family. So it was a shock, to say the least. And it happened like this. So a couple weeks before I was diagnosed, I had some pain in my left breast. And it was one of those annoying, gosh, did I lift something wrong? Did I, what is going on here? And I was driving up to my sister's house in Pennsylvania, and it kind of just bothered me that day as I was driving in the car, and I thought, well, is there something about the way that I slept last night? Like, what is going on here? But, you kind of put it in the back of your mind, and you're like, well, I'm sure I have a pulled muscle or something. But it's a very strange place to pull a muscle. But, okay, I'll go with it. And then the next weekend, I was actually meeting my sister up at Penn State for the weekend. We were having a girls' weekend, and we were going to the game together. And so she and I were in the car. And that week, between the time I had the pain and then I met her the next weekend, I had noticed what I now know is called dimpling in your breast, but essentially what it is it looks like a little indentation. And I was like, well, my goodness, what the heck is an indentation on your breast? Like, I don't even know why that would be there. But, I didn't know a whole lot about breast cancer or anything else, so I was like, well, that's just weird. And so I'm in the car, and, when you're in the car with your sister and you're just doing girl talk, I was telling her about this, and she's like, you need to go to the doctor. And I was like, what? And she's like, you have to go to the doctor. And truth be told, I'm a little afraid of my sister. And so when she tells me that, you have to go to the doctor, I knew that I better get my butt to the doctor.
Behind the doctor, yep.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, there was no way I was disappointing my sister, and I was definitely not going to, be at the other side of if she was angry at me. So anyway, so that was on a Saturday, and I came back here to Virginia on Sunday, and the doctor's office, I was able to get an appointment on Tuesday morning. So I went in to see my primary care physician on that Tuesday morning, and, I kind of told her my symptoms, and she, felt around my breast, and she's like, yeah, I think you need to go for an MRI. I'll call over and get you one today. I was like, wow, okay. That's really amazing. So she called over. I drove over to get the MRI. I drove over to get the mammogram. And so I went in and I had the mammogram, and then they said, hey, why don't you just stay in your gown, and we'll come out and talk to you in a second. I was like, okay. So they came out, and they're like, the doctor would like a couple more pictures. I'm like, okay. So I go back in, and then I come back out, and the nurse comes back out again. She's like, we'd like to do an ultrasound. I was like, okay. So they did an ultrasound. Oh, it gets better. So I did an ultrasound. I go back into the waiting room, and then the radiologist came in, and she's like, we called your doctor, and we'd like to do a biopsy, and she okayed it, so we'd like to do it now. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So they take me back for the biopsy. So I was at the radiologist for like 3 hours that day, between the mammogram, technically 2 mammograms, the ultrasound, and a biopsy. And so they do the biopsy, which, by the way, is not a pleasant process. So they do the biopsy, and it's still in my head. All I went to was, wow, I have a really awesome doctor and efficient healthcare. Who gets this done all in one day? This is really awesome. That's where my head went. Not, hey, maybe I should be worried about this.
Before we go too much further, I want to just ask. So, the only symptoms that you had were 2 weeks of pain and the dimpling that you were talking about?
Oh, yes, that's it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it.
You can continue. I just wanted to confirm because that doesn't seem like a very long list or a long time of symptoms. You know what I mean?
Oh no, it wasn't. And that's and again, one of those crazy kind of situations where everything happened really, really, really fast.
Right.
So that was a Tuesday. But again, it's something like 85% of biopsies end up being negative. So, the odds are in your favor even if you have a biopsy, which is a great thing to know, trust me. So I kind of put it in the back of my head, but I was 41 years old. These things don't happen to people that are 41 years old, Breast cancer, no, whatever. And so that Friday, I was sitting in my office at work, and the radiologist called. And so that was on Tuesday that I had all that done. So Friday they called, and she said, I have the results. Do you want to come in? And I'm like, no, you can just give them to me over the phone. I said, let me close my door. So I close my door. I come back, and she's like, the results are positive. And I said, oh, that's great. And she's like, no. Positive means that you have breast cancer. And I went, what?
Wow.
No. So, two parts of that. First of all, like hearing positive, but what they meant is, the test results are positive, meaning that it's positive for breast cancer, but like positive in my head was never a negative word, you know? And so that was October 12th of 2012, and then from there my journey went into crazy land, and so that what I can talk about in the very beginning was just that overwhelming feeling of at that point I didn't know much about breast cancer. I knew one person my age ever that had it, and it's not in my family, so it's not even like I knew an aunt or a cousin or a grandmother or anyone like that. And so I was extremely scared and overwhelmed and all of those things in the very beginning.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you must have had so many thoughts like racing through your mind. Like, what that must have been like. I can only imagine.
Yeah, predominantly it was I was scared, and I asked myself a lot of times, like, why me? Like, what did I do? And when you get through a journey like this, you realize that that's not really a fair question to anyone. But at the time, like, that's your overwhelming question. And even when you first finish treatments, it's like, well, what did I do wrong that, I got this and the person sitting right next to me did not? Like, so this, you go through this whole mental thing that, there must be something wrong with you. And I will just dispel that right now, that's a lot of times what I talk to folks about is stop thinking that, because there isn't anything that you do wrong. Breast cancer happens for a variety of reasons. The same as so many other things happen for a variety of reasons, so you've just got to, that part of it is just not a fair thing to think or to let yourself go down that kind of a path. But I will tell you, I was there with everybody else, and very overwhelmed in the beginning, because my family, I'm single, and my family does not live here in Virginia. So for me, I was relying very heavily on friends and, close friends and coworkers and all kinds of other folks to help me through my treatments. And so, that was a big concern for me. It was, my goodness, who's gonna take care of me, and how am I gonna get to doctor's appointments, and how am I gonna get to the grocery store? Now, I will say that
you really need a network of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's really those are the kind of certainly talk to folks about, and just had I just didn't know what I was going to do. I'm very much an extrovert. So I will say that I found out on Friday, and my sister and I are very close, and if folks read the book, you'll be able to pick up on that extremely quickly, because the book starts each chapter with a conversation between my sister and I that are usually just absolutely hysterical. But we're very, very close. And so she dropped everything and drove here. I called her first after I hung up with the radiologist, and she dropped everything and drove down here that Friday. And so she was here Friday night, and then Saturday morning we went to Staples and we tried to figure out how to organize. Because, you've got weeks of doctor's appointments, and you've got questions, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget to ask a question, and how am I going to get organized? So, she and I are both very organized people. And so our first instinct was, we're going to go to Staples because that's what we need to do. Oh, you find out you have breast cancer, so let's go to Staples because I need a perfect binder. But that's kind of the way we were thinking. I know that sounds like absolutely ridiculous, but that's what we did. That's what we did. We went to find our organizing system.
I love it.
And then the next thing, the next thing I did is I was like, gosh, how am I going to tell people this? Because, it's very difficult. Like, just to, hey, let's go out to lunch. Oh, by the way, I have breast cancer. How do you do that? You call somebody up, hey, how's it going? Oh, great, your kid started school. Hey, I have breast cancer.
Right.
It's like one of those those conversations that are just, like, nobody tells you how you're supposed to tell somebody, like, this big news, that's not necessarily, hey, I'm getting married, or hey, I'm having a baby. Those are positive things. But when you've got to, get this word out to everybody that says, I have cancer, you're like, how the heck do you do it? So,
how did you do it?
Okay, so I'm just going to say right off the bat that I might not have been in the best emotional place to do this, because I decided that posting on Facebook was my best option. So I did the infamous I have cancer Facebook post.
Wow. I'm sure you got a lot of, are you kidding?
No,
this is a joke,
I'm not kidding. I often chuckle that maybe, possibly, that might not be for everyone, but it seemed like a great idea at the time.
Get the message out to a lot of people at once.
Exactly. That was my thought process. And then I set up a blog so that folks could kind of follow it if they wanted to follow my journey. And so, it was actually a closed blog, so you had to be invited in. So, folks would have to tell me they wanted to, and then I would invite them in. And by the end, I had several hundred people following it, which was really cool. And that kind of is what prompted the book. But So that's how all of my journey started. And we can talk in depth if you want to about some of the treatment options. But I went on from that to a lumpectomy about a month later. And at the time, they weren't sure if it had spread to different places. So, it was just scheduled as a lumpectomy, but they did find the cancer in my lymph nodes during the lumpectomy. which essentially means that you need to go through chemotherapy next. So
Ouch.
I did a total of 8 rounds of chemo. I started on one regimen and unfortunately had an allergic reaction to the first chemo. And so they ended up switch regimens. So I ended up 8 altogether, 8 sessions. I finished chemo in March of 2013 and then started radiation in April of 2013. And then I finished all of my treatments on June 7th of 2013. So I'm cancer-free for 3.5 years, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and if for people that don't know, I've never been through chemotherapy or radiation, but I did. I have seen people that have gone through it. My mom had to go through it, and it is a very, very, very tough thing, and you have to be very, very, very strong to get through just the treatment so you can get to the point where you're getting better.
Yeah, that is the truth for sure. Yeah, chemo is not for the faint of heart by any stretch of the imagination. And, I often tell folks, chemo is as bad as everybody thinks it is. And I said, and then that way, if you have a great chemo, if for some reason your body's like, oh, yeah, this is no big deal, then, hey, you're mildly surprised. But, you go into it thinking, yeah, it's as bad as everybody thinks it is. I spent many nights sleeping on my bathroom floor because I couldn't make it from my bathroom to my bed.
Right. Well, I'm glad you've been cancer-free for 3.5 years. That's a beautiful story. When we get back, we're going to start talking more kind of about how you managed to get through all of the adversities. And right now we're going to go to a commercial break.
No problem.
Aloha, this is Katmere Stone of Freedomizer Radio. I was born and raised in the Caribbean tropical coast and enjoyed living along the Blue Ridge Mountains of Appalachia, both places where Mother Nature rules and shoes are optional. Now living in the 9th largest metropolitan area in the United States, I'm surprised that more people don't realize that their health would improve if they just took off their shoes and relaxed. Yes, even in the middle of downtown. Bunions, hammer toes, atrophied pinky, fungus issues, weak structure. All these foot problems caused by shoes are simply due to the fact that people don't know that being barefoot is not just the natural, comfortable solution, it's legal. That's right, Freedomizers. We at barefootislegal.org host a weekly radio show where we discuss the many health benefits and 0 laws concerning going barefoot. Join Nicola, Kiliki Claybaugh, Patty Peaceful, and yours truly, Katmere Stone, every Saturday starting at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern for Barefoot is Legal Radio. Hashtag Freedomizer Radio, hashtag Shoes Ruined My Feet, hashtag BarefootIsLegal.org.
Are you sick of being a chump, lied to by politicians and businessmen alike, watching as the world slowly burns, as trillions of debts racked up under your grandchildren's names? Hi, I'm Ben Lucifer Bernanke Cochran. I'm asking that you tune into my weekly radio show, The Patriot Power Hour with Lucifer Bernanke, each Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern on Freedomizer Radio. Look, I'm not trying to sell you anything here. I just need your help fighting these bankster scum. The sycophants behind all the wars, failed healthcare system. They own all the mega banks, all the mega corporations. They own the media, of course. They've already conquered most of humanity, really. And their juiciest final target, well, we're next. America's next. So I'm not going out without a fight. So join me Thursdays as I use my background in finance and risk management to decode breaking news and developments, all while helping to prepare you and your family for the future waves of financial terrorism that are sure to come. Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on FreedomizerRadio.com.
Things seem to be going wrong in the world today. Every aspect of our lives seems to be under attack sometimes. Many struggle to make sense out of it. What is really going on? Identifying the problem is critical to any solution. Many people claim to have answers. But what is the truth? what works, what has worked in the past. History does repeat itself, and you must learn from it. You have choices. We cannot change the course of history, but we may change our role in it. All roads lead to Rome. All roads lead to the kingdom of God. The question is, which way are you going? Join us to make sense out of it all in the Sabbath hour at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, everybody, we are back on the air live with our special guest, Dawn Bontempo, breast cancer survivor and author of Breast Cancer Mardi Gras, Surviving the Emotional Hurricane and Showing My Boobs to Strangers. I totally love the title of it, I have to say.
Love it. Dawn, I wanted to say something here. Today,
sure.
It's October month, and you've mentioned that you found out about the challenge in 2012 October, right?
Yes, I did.
So I just thought it's amazing that you are speaking about it in the same month. So I think it's not a coincidence. I think it's definitely, it's a celebration, right?
It is. It's a very interesting to have been diagnosed in October because, as you pointed out, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it was a complete coincidence when it comes to, that's when I had the symptoms, and that's when I ended up with the doctor. But from an anniversary perspective, around the time that I am looking at, I just went by my 4 years from diagnosis. There's pink ribbons everywhere. And so that's a really interesting dynamic emotionally for sure, being diagnosed with Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking while you were talking about it. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And, also, you've been saying that how you started writing a blog, how you posted on Facebook. I think it's so powerful that with your challenge, you are already turning it around and not only, helping yourself to go through this, but you're also helping others as you go through this or went through that. You started writing blogs and involving community and showing people and being vulnerable. I think it's so amazing that you did this like that. Absolutely.
Oh. Well, thank you. Well, and, the blog itself, I'll just briefly say the blog itself was more out of necessity when I first started the blog. I have it's my sister and I in my immediate family and then my mom and dad. But I have a large extended family, and so they're all over the country. And I've also lived up and down the East Coast, so I have an extended friend base outside of the Virginia area. And I was more concerned on how I was going to keep everybody informed without having the same conversation again and again. And so to me, the blog was like a messaging way to kind of get it out. So I will say in the beginning, the blog was more out of necessity to send out communications and keep everybody informed. But I came to just love actually writing in the blog. And you're right. I mean, it wasn't all happy thoughts, but it was all, oh, my gosh, I can't believe this is what is going on with me, And and so, sometimes I would talk about raw emotions in the blog, and then sometimes I would talk about, I can't believe I'm visiting a plastic surgeon. Who knew that I would have a plastic surgeon on speed dial? And so, it's all those kind of things. And I will say that my educational background is actually engineering. And so writing a blog and writing a book is about as far from my educational background as you can get. It was about halfway through my treatments with chemo that folks, because it's a blog that they keep comment on, and folks started saying, you should turn this into a book. And in the beginning, I was like, no, it's not my thing. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, my gosh, I really think this is part of my calling. Part of my calling is to educate young women in a way that's not overwhelming, in a way that says, hey, there's somebody like you out there that was diagnosed. When I tell folks, when I was first diagnosed, I put like books and resources in two categories, and now there's a lot more resources out there. But when I first was, searching for information, you had the resources in the books that were written by doctors, and they're very, very factual, but they're so overwhelming to read, and you just don't know what to do with that information. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have, and I'll just put it in the category of, the chicken soup for the soul kind of books, which was hey, cancer's the best thing that ever happened to me. Cancer was not the best thing that ever happened to me. And I couldn't relate to those people at the very beginning of the diagnosis. So there wasn't a whole lot that was like in that middle that said, hey, here's some information that you need, but it's not overwhelming, and, it's okay. And you can poke fun at this, and you can have a good attitude about this, and everybody else around you may be melting down, and it's okay for you to laugh and say, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I just had taken,
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so, that's kind of how it all came about. But I appreciate you saying that, because I think the blog in the beginning was more of a necessity, and then, as I started writing it, it really became such a great outlet for me to get out my emotions and to really work through some things and to really feel. I liked your words there when you said community, because that's exactly what I felt. I felt like I was part of this larger community that was all lifting me up and supporting me and making sure that, I had the best possible positive energy surrounding me, etc. And that was really important, because, as I said, my family doesn't necessarily live close by.
And sense of humor helps quite a bit, because you change your way of thinking and feeling about a big challenge in life. But that humor is literally the frequency within you, and instead of being heavy and going into the heavier realm of your being, you are uplifting yourself, which actually leads to healing. So I think you are an amazing role model for a lot of women. Yes.
Well, you are very kind. If I can live up to what you're saying, then I will be a happy person.
Oh, you don't have to. You're already living it. You already
so, aw. Well, that, as I said, I sometimes you look at things and you say, well, I didn't even know that this was going to be part of my life's path. I didn't even know that this was going to be part of my life's passion. But it ends up that way. And so you take that opportunity and you say, you know what, I'm gonna make something good out of this. And what I'm gonna make good out of this particular situation for me personally was, I think I have a lot of information to share. I think it's important for young women that are diagnosed to see folks like me that say, yep, it's tough and it's overwhelming and you really can't believe that you're going through it. But here's what it looks like 3.5 years later. And it's okay. It's okay to feel all those things. It's okay to be angry about it. It's also okay to laugh.
Yeah, that's such a powerful message, because it is so much easier when you see that other people have gone through it. Not that it makes you feel better that other people have gone through it, but just so you know that you can overcome it and you can get through it and you can get past it. There's going to be challenges along the way, probably. There usually are. But the best won things are generally won through challenge. So, and there's a really good quote that oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is everyone's journey is different. So that challenge may be very different for someone, that is also has young children. That looks very different than my challenge. Or someone that, doesn't have health insurance. That looks very different than my challenge. but at the same time, we all have a lot of the same emotions. It's just they're in different degrees at different points and at different times. So I think if there's one thing that I would definitely tell folks that are diagnosed with, this kind of either breast cancer or lots of kinds of serious illnesses, is that find a support group. I was the girl that, I was like, there's no way. I'm not going to a support group. That's a bunch of really sad people sitting around talking about feeling sorry for themselves, and that is just not me. That was my totally wrong perception of what a support group is, but that was my perception. And so I didn't go to a support group until I was almost finished with chemo. So at that point, it was 7 months into my diagnosis. And again,
oh, wow.
I will credit my sister and my being a little afraid of her. She's like, you really should go to a support group. And I said, well, I don't want to be around people that are sad. And she's like, well, you don't know that. That's what you're thinking, but who knows what it's like? And so she and I have this little thing. She's like, she said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. You go to the support group. And she's like, 15 minutes into it, she said, I'm going to call you. Or I think she said I had to say 25 minutes. Maybe it's 25 minutes, not 15. But she's like, 25 minutes, I'm going to call you. And she said, and you can either look at your phone and say, oh, my goodness, I've got to go, or you can ignore the call. And I said, oh, that's good. That's good. I can do that. So I gave myself the out that said if I went and I felt so uncomfortable that I knew that she was going to call me and that I was going to have this realistic excuse on why I had to leave. And so, but as it turned out, it was the best thing I could have done. I still support women through the support group because I think it's the one place where folks can be raw. They can ask those questions that you're I just don't understand. Why am I feeling this way? Or did you have this? Or what can I expect on, the day of surgery? And, all of those kind of things. And I think that's truly so important for folks. So that's what I would say back to that community that you were talking about. I would think that is probably one of the biggest things that I tell folks to get themselves into a community and into a support group where they feel comfortable, because that's just a great place to ask your questions and to really be able to get the answers you need.
Mm-hmm. So Dawn, can you give more examples what helped you to go through this journey? You've mentioned community, what was very helpful. What other things that people can consider when they're facing such challenge from your perception, from your experience? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I think one of the ones we touched on was certainly the blogging. And I don't necessarily think you have to have a public blog if you're going through a challenge. But, the opposite of that is journaling. And I do think that, journaling and or blogging, some way to just work through some of those thoughts and feelings and things that you're going through. And to be honest with you, one of the really interesting things, and I think it would be the same with journaling as well, is you look back a year later, 6 months later, and you can look back on some of those blogs or some of those journals and you say, oh my gosh, I have come so far. And that's a really empowering thing to be able to see that. So, I encourage folks to be real, to be raw in your journals, because you'll look back on them and just be incredibly proud of how far you have been able to come as a result of just, life happening and time happening and getting the right resources and getting the right treatments and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a big proponent of blogs or journaling. I'm a big proponent of the support groups, which I really like your take on that being the community. I think that's a really good way to put that. So those are two really big ones. I think The third one I would say is that you are your own advocate. So listen to your body, listen to your gut, ask a ton of questions. So think about it. Your doctor sees you for a very short amount of time. You live with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If something doesn't feel right, if something doesn't sit right, if you're not comfortable with either the treatment plan or, a side effect or anything like that, you are your best advocate and you know you better than anyone else. So ask questions of your doctors, ask questions of your nurses, ask questions of your support group until you feel comfortable with things. That's, I think, another one I talk about is, again, being your own advocate, because I think that's definitely, and I think that would apply to lots of different challenges, be it a loss of a job. There's a lot of different challenges that folks go through that I would say being your own advocate is a really universal thing as well.
I love it. I love
this
very much. Yeah.
And then I think the last one I would say is keep your sense of humor about things. I have the kind of personality that I can pretty much find something funny in anything about my day. And some of the things that are the most, maybe challenging also seem to be the most absurd things. Again, like going to the plastic surgeon, that's the first time somebody took pictures of my boobs. And I went, oh, my gosh, do you know how many times, people have asked for pictures of my boobs that I have said no? And I did Mardi Gras. Are you kidding me? I really would like some beads for these pictures. But, and
did you get
things
some?
like that. No. I took them with me the next time. I took them with me to the doctor's office the next time, and I said, you know what, you really should give out Mardi Gras beads. He's like, not everybody's like you. But those are the kind of things where, depending on how you go into that situation, you could either be extremely uncomfortable, you could be extremely, overwhelmed, you could be self-conscious about your body. You could, there's so many ways to react to that situation. And I reacted with, this is absurd. I cannot believe this is happening to me. And poking fun at those situations really helped me to make it not the monster in the room, but more, I'm in control of this. I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of how I react to this. This is not some giant monster in the room that is going to control me. And so that for me, the absurdity and being able to keep that humor was super, super important while going through it.
Wow, Dawn, I honestly think you should come up with a program, because by listening to you, what I'm observing is you made steps to release, all your emotions. You went through all of your emotions. You literally felt them. You were not resisting them, but at the same time, you kept your sense of humor, so you were still light. So I think it's so crucial for people that go through, physical challenges like that. You can certainly come up not only with the book, but actually a program for people to use, because I know what you did actually works amazing on people. Yeah. And you did it to yourself, and now you can present it to others. That's so powerful.
Aww. Well, I hope some of it is, just able to, talking to folks like you and being able to, reach out and talk to folks. I think that's super important. That's I said in the beginning that I've definitely, I work a lot in the advocacy realm, and talking to folks certainly during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I really enjoy this. I enjoy this part of being a survivor and being an advocate for, breast cancer survivors in particular, because I can relate to that. But, I was super excited when I saw that this was at Overcoming Challenges, a theme as well, because I do think that there are very, very similar things that happen no matter what the challenge is that someone is going through.
Yeah, that is true, very true. Yeah, I personally have never been fully involved in challenges like that are kind of, life, death kind of situations per se. But, I've had people around me, including Stephanie, who've, been involved in such challenges. And it's, and that's one reason also why my line of work is also connected to allow people to heal and potentially, address their chronic issues or prevent those issues. And I just always, have high respect for people who overcame such challenges. And, but everything in life, I believe, has a reason. And in your case, I see, this amazing, powerful, flowering out of the challenge. And now you are in a position where you can help so many other people to find that within them, that they can, follow through and be okay and healthy and happy and joyful.
Yes. Healthy and happy and joyful is where it all is. So if I in any way can influence that with folks, then I will consider it a success for sure.
Oh, beautiful. So what do you have in the works? What are your plans? What are you doing now? What do you do now with all of this?
So, so again, I do a fair bit of advocacy work, and I am one of those folks that I volunteer at lots of different organizations. So I'm not particular to one particular organization. So I've walked the Avon 39 the last 2 years, and I've done the Coleman 5Ks. I've volunteered at several Coleman events to either, help them seat people at tables or to sit at tables. There's a great organization here in Northern Virginia through the Inova Healthcare Center called Life with Cancer, and I volunteer a lot out with Life with Cancer, doing different types of things, either teaching classes or volunteering at classes, more likely than teaching at classes, but volunteering at different things and telling my story in different forums and things like that. So, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a very busy month for me, and I will probably take a bit of a break in November. Just trying to figure out what I can do in order to, continue on this passion project and this passion work that I very much enjoy, and I very much enjoy talking to folks and really this kind of just advocacy and, education and training lectures and things like that. So I'll let you know for sure. And once we come off Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I usually take a breather for a little bit, and then I jump right back into it.
Yeah, there's always next year.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time for us to take another short break. And we will be back for more, right?
Yes.
Are you one of the tens of people who are tired of seeing chemtrails? Fed up with the government geoengineering you every other day? Take a dose of La Mecha Wong Chemtrail Remover Daily, and you'll never worry about weather modification again. With great ingredients and quality vitamins from Mexico and China, like fluoride, barium, high fructose corn syrup, and colloidal mercury, your brain will be a virtual Etch-a-Sketch lickety-split. La Mecha Wong Chemtrail Remover. Wow, I don't even remember the tagline for this, so it must be great. From the people that brought you the roller coaster making game and who brought you the FEMA coloring books, It's the FEMA Camp Tycoon. That sounds cool. Here you will have over 800 concentration camps to choose from. Wow. You want Vegas, 29 Palms, Jacksonville? Start with Beech Grove, Indiana, and it's all yours. You'll learn how to get people on the red, the blue, and the yellow list. I want to be red. I want to be blue. Buy more trains. Get HR 645 passed, but don't pay the Senate too much money. You'll need to buy gas chambers with that. Collect barcode readers, sell souvenirs, and hit the high score on collecting millions of American people, I mean, right-wing extremists. Anyway, coming soon, FEMA Camp Tycoon.
There are reports that say sitting all day at work is just as unhealthy as smoking. There is a hot new health trend called earthing, where you leave your shoes at home and you go out for a walk in the park. However, most of us work all day. This is where Serenity Rug comes in. Serenity Rug is meant to let you feel the grass beneath your feet while you have to stay inside and get your work done. This revolutionary footrest encourages movement and blood flow so you can feel better while working. Relieves muscle tension, improves circulation at your own desk while you're working. Anyway, please check out serenityrug.com. That's serenityrug.com.
All right, everyone, we are back on the air with our special guest, Dawn Bontempo, author of Breast Cancer Mardi Gras, Surviving the Emotional Hurricane, and Showing My Boobs to Strangers.
How many times did you think you were going to say boobs in one radio show?
It's been great. I love it. And it's perfect. I'm not hurt at all, so it works out.
We have an
yes. Well, so one of the things that I am a huge, huge advocate for is finding ways to take care of yourself, maybe have a more nutritious diet, a less stressful lifestyle, different things that you can do to kind of avoid getting in this situation where you do have illnesses of the body. And one of the things that I'm really big on, because I'm a nutrition coach, so when talking to my clients is if you take really, really, really good care of yourself, if you do get sick, it's going to be easier to overcome because your body is going to be stronger if you have all of the nutrients that it needs to take care of itself. And B, you're not putting as many bad things into your body, right, that could possibly cause things to go haywire or to go wrong. So, and I'm not saying that everyone with cancer specifically did something, because there's different kinds of cancers and they are caused by tons of different things. But I do know that whenever I put really good things in my body feels good. And I do know that whenever I put bad things in my body, I can tell it, I can feel it. So my question to you would be, what have you done maybe differently, and what are you doing differently going forward to take care of your body after such a traumatic experience?
So it's a really interesting question because, I actually was quite healthy before breast cancer, which, is very interesting to me. I was eating a fairly clean diet. I only drank alcohol in moderation, and by moderation, I mean, 2 drinks a week. And so, I was exercising. So I was actually really healthy, and I was 41 years old. So, back to that conversation about the why me and, trying to think through that. I will say that my body certainly took a beating going through the treatment. When you're going through treatments, first of all, you're pumping, chemo is pumping your body through, full of chemicals anyway. I mean, that's what chemotherapy is, and radiation, you're throwing radiation at your body, and then the surgeries and things like that. So, my main goal when I finished treatments was to get myself actually back to where I was before I had cancer, which I don't know if that's true for everyone or not, but it certainly was true for me. I gained about 25 pounds as part of chemo, and, I'll be honest, I was talking to my oncologist, and she said, Dawn, the people we worry about are the folks that are losing weight. She said, because if they're losing weight, then I know their body, that there's something, if you're gaining weight, she's like, I'm honestly not as worried about you. She said, I'm going to, once you get through this, then we'll work on all that. So I was like, okay, well, I don't like it. But, again, I was a very active person before cancer. And then all of a sudden, walking from my living room to my bedroom to my bathroom was the extent of my, physical activity. And some days I didn't even make it to the living room, And so that was really, really tough on my body. So when I came out, I spent the first year really trying to get back physically. So I started running again, and so I was starting to come back physically, but I still wasn't able to lose the weight. And I'll be honest, I found a nutritional program that I absolutely love, and I don't know if you want me to talk about that or not, but I found a nutritional program that I absolutely love, and that allowed me to really put my body back to where it was before cancer. I was able to get a whole lot more energy. I have an estrogen receptive cancer. And so basically what that means is that I am still on a hormone therapy, and I will be somewhere between 5 and 10 years after I finish treatments. It used to be 5 years, and now there's a lot of research that actually says waiting until 10 years. And the entire intent is to lower your estrogen levels. Well, that puts you into various stages of menopause. I am now 45 years old, and I am completely through menopause at this point. Wow. And so you can imagine that metabolism, for someone that's normally 55, 60 that is going through menopause or completely through menopause, there's different things you do when you're talking to folks about nutrition and things like that when, you're in your postmenopausal stage. So I'm in a postmenopausal stage, but I'm only 45 years old. So I'm in this weird category that, I still have physically a lot more energy than somebody that certainly is postmenopausal and older. But at the same time, I have such reduced estrogen levels that my metabolism is of somebody that is typically older and has gone through menopause later. So I have to do things differently for my age than folks normally would have to do in my age. It's the same thing. When folks are in their 20s, your metabolism is different than when it's in your 30s. It's different when it's in your 40s. The things you did in your 20s that you got away with, you can't do those things in your 40s and get away with them anymore. It's the same thing. It's just I'm now actually about 15 years past that when it comes to my metabolism. And
what was that nutritional program that you were taking? Or that you're taking?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I don't know if you've ever heard of Isogenics. It's a full program that is a nutritional shakes, and it's a program that really focuses on whole body health and supplements through nutrition and superfoods and things like that, and then also eating whole food, clean foods, and really focusing on whole body.
Interesting.
And I've had just wonderful success, but I think the main point I would say is just there's different things you do at different stages in your life that really help you from a nutrition standpoint, from a energy standpoint. Again, I think anyone could look back at 10 years earlier in their life and say, wow, it was so different back then. Now I look at a donut and I gain 5 pounds, whereas when I was in my 20s, I didn't have that problem, and I was eating ice cream and I was eating this, so now I can't even think about it, And that's just the difference in your metabolism at different points in your life. And that's okay. It's just you have to look at it differently. Even the amount of sleep is different at different parts of your
Right.
life, you know. And so just being aware of that, and I think your body tells you that no matter what, but, you know, just being aware that you approach things differently at different points in your life. And for me, from a challenge perspective, understanding that, yes, I'm 45 years old, but I'm also postmenopausal. And so I need to look at things in two ways. First, like a 45-year-old woman, and second, like a postmenopausal woman, and then marry those two things together. So, you know, I think a big one for me is sleep. I don't need anywhere near as much sleep as I used to. And sometimes I make myself crazy by actually trying to get more sleep than I need because it makes me more tired. And part of that is just now that I'm postmenopausal, really looking at how did that change my sleep patterns, and just accepting it, that, you know, what I have now is what it's going to be. And, you know, in some ways that's great, but in other ways it, like, you know, kind of makes you crazy because you're like, oh my gosh, I should be needing more sleep than this. This is not right. Like, I'm going to crash. There's no way. But, you know, in the end, you're like, okay, well, apparently I'm going to accept this as my new reality.
Sounds
That's
like
awesome.
life is giving you more time to spread your word.
Yeah, exactly.
Since you don't need sleep that much.
And I mean, there are definitely times I tell folks that, like, I sleep for a couple hours at a time and then I wake up. Like, I'm just one of those people. And I said, yeah, sometimes I get up and I grab a glass of water, and sometimes I get up and I do laundry. It really just depends on the day.
Sometimes I go through that too.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you know,
not,
it's like...
but not wanting though.
Oh, but anyway.
Nice. Well, nice. So, Dawn, we typically give out homework every week, and you know, we do the homework and our guests, including the audience. And this time around, I'm going to consult with you because the homework is coming out of our talk, is to give out homework where every one of us, whoever's listening to this show and including us, can identify one main challenge in life right now. It could be just today, or it could be, you know, for the past 3 years, whatever, and see how you can either change perception about it, or potentially you know the steps how you can change that challenge, or start, for example, blogging about it and see what comes out, like what may be answers, or if, when you reflect upon that and reread your, you know, writing, what answers are coming out in regard to that challenge. So what do you think of this homework? I thought it would be kind of cool to
I love it. I love the idea of, you know, because there's definitely something that it could be a breakthrough for someone just thinking about something in a different way, or at the same time just being able to journal or blog about something to maybe allow someone some peace in different situations. So I think that is a fabulous idea for a homework.
Perfect. So that's the homework for the next week forward. And
so fun. I'm looking forward to homework.
I know. We create this for ourselves, Stephanie.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, yeah,
well, Dawn, could you please? Yeah, Dawn, could you give us your contact information for our listeners if they're interested in getting more information about you or the book?
Absolutely. So, again, my name is Dawn, and the last name is Bontempo, and that's spelled Bontempo. And my email address is askdawnb at gmail.com, and my website is www.dawnb.com. dawnbontempo.com. Those are the easiest ways to get in touch with me. The book is actually available on Amazon, and so Breast Cancer Mardi Gras, Surviving the Emotional Hurricane and Showing My Boobs to Strangers. And again, how many times can we actually say boobs on one radio station or on one radio show? But yeah, and I would love to hear from folks. Certainly feel free to send me an email or contact me via the website, and stay tuned because I'm sure there will be something that is coming out sometime in the next few months of what else I'm going to be working on.
Awesome. Well, maybe we can get you back on the air.
Nice.
Would love to.
Yes.
This was loads of fun. I really appreciate it, ladies. This was I thoroughly enjoyed myself this show. Thank you very much for asking me to come on. This was great fun.
Oh, thank you, Dawn,
thank you so much for coming. Thank you. All right. Well, have a good evening.
Bye, Dawn.
Have a great evening.
Have a good one. Enjoy.
Okay. So I have a few quotes that I wanted to read about overcoming obstacles because I thought they were cool. Yeah. So one of them is from George Bernard Shaw, and it is, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, they make them. Mm. And then another one that I thought was really cool was take a limitation and turn it into an opportunity. Take an opportunity and turn it into an adventure by dreaming big.
Oh, I love that one.
Mm-hmm. And then last one, if you expect life to be easy, challenges will seem difficult. If you accept that challenges may occur, life will always be easier.
Yes. Yes, that's the key, it's your life. That's what people forget. This is your life. And when you tune in into what is right for you and your truth, it starts lining up. It starts lining up. And you can, like your quote said, you can make it, out of challenge. You can pretty much during challenging moments, it shows you how are you reacting to it. Are you making something out of it, or it's killing you literally?
Right.
So,
well, what I've always found is every single time in my life when I had a challenging situation, it ultimately was always okay, right? Mm-hmm. Something always came through. It always worked out. And I try to remember that when I'm in the midst of a situation and it seems like the weight of the world is on my shoulders and I can't take any more. That's when I remember it's going to be okay. All these challenges come, and ultimately you can always, well, I don't know if you can, well, you probably can, but you can always look back on a situation and say, oh my gosh, this happened for this reason, right? And unfortunately, it's always hindsight 20/20, but at least you can look back and evaluate the situation and say, okay, this is why this had to happen, so this could happen. So it's almost like one door closes, another one opens things, and sometimes those doors slam, and they slam really hard, and they hit you in your face. But another door always opens.
Well, but also, including Dawn's situation, I feel like is sometimes those challenges actually put you on the path for you to follow this life around. Like, it makes it yours. It's almost like you become passionate about it, and that's what drives you forward. And I think in Dawn's situation, unfortunately, it was a challenge, but it almost like changed her life and changed it for the best, I feel. And now she's helping others. And that's what it's about.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. How do you overcome what comes to you, and how do you help others?
that was a really big thing for me too, because I didn't go through cancer. I went through nothing like cancer. I was just there with my mom when she was going through cancer. And that's when I learned, and that's when I realized that there were changes that I needed to make to my life, because seeing what she went through, I knew that that was not something that I wanted to go through, just because it's not a pleasant experience. Like Dawn was saying, having cancer is really, really hurts your body. It devastates your body. So that's why I started getting into more natural, holistic living, so I could, my goal is hopefully avoid those kind of things, but also live a fuller, healthier life.
Exactly, and it's in a way shaped your life too. Like it kind of redirects.
It totally has.
You know, like if a person is truly honest with themselves, then they'll see how those little challenges did help them to evolve, to, be more connected with themselves.
The person, right? And be the person you are ultimately going to become anyway.
Yes. You're just kind of, because sometimes it's almost like a push, It's, okay, you haven't listened to me before, so now, here we go. I'm going to give you a little more extra, so maybe now you can, reflect upon your life and see what needs to be adjusted and changed, and how your perception should be changed. So, it's being aware, like self-aware and aware of what's happening and how it affects you. Everything just is all intertwined.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting closer to the end, so maybe we could exchange our information.
Yeah, definitely. So, you guys check us out on Facebook. You can find our homework and information on all of our special guests. It is facebook.com/Body and Soul Awareness Radio. If you need to reach me for any of my nutrition coaching, or you want to just contact me for questions, my email is Stephanie@edensbalance.com, and my website is www.edensbalance.com. Oxana, your info?
Mine is connect with me on my website, oxanaganchar.com, OXANAGONCHAR. Also, you can reach me by email, mind, body, and soul, all one word, and at oxanaganchar.com, or you can call me at 202-930-2530. So I think we had an amazing show. I got inspired too by Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn was wonderful.
Yeah, and I hope everyone can take something out of it and implement in their life. Even if you're not having cancer or any huge challenge like that, but even a small challenge, address it. What can you do about it? How can you look at it? If it feels funky and painful and weird, go even deeper into that and see where it takes you. And when you find out, then you can change your perception. And that's kind of how healing occurs, one step at a time. So, Steph, if you have
If that's not the truth, I don't know what is.
I know. Live and learn, right?
Definitely. All right, well, everyone have an awesome week. Make sure you do your homework. And like I said, I'll post it on the Facebook page if you forget what it is.
Awesome. Everyone have a beautiful Sunday. Enjoy it and have a great week ahead.